All right, I'm gonna start us off. Sam, hey everybody.
Man, you got a full page of stuff
Good,
tonight,
good.
Tony.
We're gonna talk tonight.
I'm gonna have to start doing homework.
Thanks for everybody coming in tonight, and thanks for anybody out there that's watching us. We want to say again, every month we love doing this. We're trying to do some new stuff here and there, so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and we're going to talk about cobia and hermit and African pompano. I guess why not? It's kind of the time of year we're going to see some of those fish showing up. Before we start, I want to just say thanks for coming, Sam.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
And we're going to talk real quick about Sundance. Sundance has some things going on. We have some trips to the Bahamas. One is with Everglades Boats. It's based out. It was going to run out of Fort Lauderdale with the Sundance crew down there, but they're going to Bimini, and that one is June 5th through the 8th. And this is the last week to register for that if anybody's interested in doing that. And then next Saturday, a week from this Saturday, May 21st, we're doing a demo day here in Sundance. We're going to put some boats in the water, basically like a ride and buy. Come on out. We'll have some boats in the water. I don't have a list yet of what exactly we're going to have, but if anybody's interested in coming out, reach out to me or give us a call at the store, and we'll let you know what we're doing. But it's going to be from 10 to 2 on Saturday. We'll have a barbecue going, and we'll hopefully the weather will be good, and we'll have fun. So that's May 21st.
I hope I get invited.
You might. We'll see how you do tonight. After that, we got two more trips to the Bahamas in July. Our South store is going to Bimini, and this store we're doing July 21st to the 24th. We're going to West End. We're going to stay at Old Bahama Bay, and I know a couple of you guys are already planning on going with us. So that's going to be an awesome trip, and hopefully the weather will be good for us on that one. So if any of this information you guys need, just reach out. Call me, come into the store, send an email, or call the front desk, and anybody can help you. One last thing, we've got a couple of new managers here at the store in Jensen, and we'd love to introduce you guys to them if you haven't met them already. We've got a new sales manager. His name's Jimmy Thompson, and he comes to us. He's been in the boating industry for quite a while. Comes to us from the Carolinas, and our service manager, Luke, is, he's Luke Crawford, and he's taken the reins there a couple weeks ago, and we're excited to have him. So if you guys need anything service-wise or sales, of course, come in, and anybody who's already bought a boat from us, just come in and meet Jimmy. That's all my
One thing
list.
I thought about when you were talking about that Bahama trip, do you have a list of all the regulations you have to go to the Bahamas?
We will provide that, yes.
Okay. The quarantine flag and all that?
Yes, sir, and what you need regarding documentation. And all
Right.
that. Yes, sir.
You got a boat. You got to have boat registration and all that stuff.
Yep, and we'll
Valid
go over all that
passport.
with everybody. And we'll probably have a pre-trip meeting at some point. I don't know if Haley's got a date for that yet, but we will let everybody know via email, at least those people who've signed up. If you still want to sign up, there's still time. We'd love to have you get signed up this month, at least within the next, by the end of this month for that trip. We want to get the rest of the rooms filled up. It is filling up. So if anybody's, I put a paper up there if you want to leave your information. If you want me to send you anything, just let me know. And I think that's it for now for Sundance. So what do we got? Did you go fishing this week?
Yeah, I went. I fished a couple of days. Saturday, I went offshore.
We don't want to talk about our fishing day.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I thought we were brave as hell. Stay out there. Haley was with us, and she was hung in there, buddy. She was hung in there like a rusty hook. We were starving when we came back. Went across the street and ate lunch. Had a good time.
We went out Tuesday. So
Yeah.
if you guys know what, it's almost blowing as bad as it is. Not quite like it is now. It's blowing now.
Tuesday, and it was rough.
took it-
But we took that 28 Parker, and that boat, it really did a good. I'm not a salesman, okay? I know, but that boat did a real good job. It did a real good job.
Yeah.
In the tailing sea, and going out that inlet, because going out that inlet, some of those swells were 5 and 6 feet. And you know,
It was a little rough. We didn't go too far. We went to the Bull Shark, got some bait. Bait was out there. And, we went over to Donaldson Reef area and tried to drift up some cobia. And we got a few.
we caught all our
little
fish
tuna.
on the bull shark.
Yeah.
Caught those little tunies, and y'all need to look a little toonie and a bonita up. Those little tunies, I mean, I've made sashimi out of them, and they're not bad at all. I mean, they got a bigger blood streak in them than a blackfin does, but they got good meat on them. You know, rather than just
I think that's video.
throwing them back.
Haley made a video for
But
us.
Tony had the weirdest thing I've ever seen happen. We had a nice, I don't know if it was a bonita or toonie on, but we had a big dolphin. I'm talking about 500 pounder. Yeah, there he is right there. And he came up and he chased that thing around just like a dang shark, buddy. And he ate it.
He was patient.
He
He sat by
ate
the
it.
boat and waited. He knew I had to bring it to the boat, and
Yeah.
he just sat there and waited.
Yeah, they're smart critters. And then I had one on right there, and I never stayed. He got down in the mono, and I said, "Whew, I'm not going to be able to fish no more today because we'll get all my strings." So I stopped him. He got lucky and he popped him off. And I landed one. I don't know. It was a pretty bloody mess, but it was. But like I say, I was impressed with that Parker. It's got 2 good live wells in it.
It was pretty sporty out there.
Yeah, it was real sporty out there. I'll just be honest with you. I've been out there those days like that when I had to come back in because everybody got sick. Do any of y'all get seasick out there? You do?
Yeah.
If I mean, you know, hey, I've been seasick with the best of them, buddy. I mean, seasick bad. I won't go into great details, but there's a product out there called Bonnie, Bonnie, and it doesn't make you drowsy. If you'll take one the night before and take one in the morning when you get up, you'll be. I haven't seen anyone get sick taking that. And I had some engineers last month, were great guys, but they were from Minnesota, and their sea legs were. They thought they had good sea legs. Oh, we walleye fish. Well, you know, that's good. I love to eat walleye, but it's a little bit different territory. Yeah, they one of them. It was awful. I had to hold him over the side and wash his face. He had a big beard. I had to wash his face off. Oh, bad deal.
All right, so we didn't have any of that on our trip, but we didn't have any cobia either, and we didn't see any permit, and we didn't see very many boats out there. So we were one of the few that were.
And we couldn't really go where you wanted to go.
No, we wanted to go further out, but we couldn't get out there. And we know the fish were biting, and I know if anybody's been out, they were getting fish this week. So unfortunately, it was just a day that we couldn't get too far out there. But you went on Saturday.
I went on Saturday. It was nice. It wasn't dead slick calm, but it was nice. It was fishable. And then Saturday was a good day. We had a lot of fun. We caught some short cobia, and that's something y'all got to really be careful about. You don't want to keep one of them shorts.
We're going to talk about the new regs in a little bit, but you were on the front edge of that front, so the barometer was probably changing on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. We were on the front edge of it. But one thing I wanted to caution everybody about is if you're going to fish for cobia, put a big landing net on your boat. I know we all use gaffs on keepers, but if you put a big landing net on your boat, you can net those shorts and you can get the hook out of them and throw them back and maybe catch them another day. But, you know, gaffing them and then throwing them back, feeding them sharks. Like I said, I don't like sharks.
How were you catching them?
Sir?
How were you catching them?
We were catching them on this rig right here. And this is a Tony rig. And this rod and reel. I like to use a bigger rod, you know, in case I hook that 60 pounder. But it's a fish finder rig. and it's I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but it's got a small weight on it. Got a small weight, and then I always put a bead on it to where that weight won't fray that knot. And then I've got one of them little green beads that keeps that bait, that hook from coming around and hooking him in the gills. Y'all ever had that done? Haven't had that problem? Yeah, that's the best way I know. You can buy those little beads, and they're soft beads, and you just slide them on the hook, and it keeps that bait kind of pinned down between the barb and the bead, and it won't let it turn around and hook him in the gill plate. So,
Which you'll never get a hook set if it does.
yeah. Oh no, you
It's
won't
too-
get
yeah,
hooked.
unless the fish swallows it. Yeah, but yeah.
And then you drift that, or you buck troll, or what?
Yeah, this one. What's that? You got about? I use sometimes I'll use that's about a half ounce.
Yeah.
I use a quarter ounce up to a half ounce, depending on the current. Yeah, just let it out. It's gonna just keep that bait down. Now, if you're
Right.
sail fishing, or if you want to keep the bait up, obviously you don't want to put it
But
down.
the rougher it gets, hold on, I got it right here in my pocket. Well, my grandmother used to hate it when I put stuff in my pocket. Some of it was still alive when I put it in my pocket. But I'll go on up to this right here is, I think it's a 3 or 4. I forget which one it is. It might be a 2 ounce. But anyway, I'll go on up to a bigger. The rougher it gets, the more weight I use. The rougher it gets, the more weight I use.
Well, it makes sense because then you can keep contact with the bait. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about that.
And then what about your jigs here? I've got one on mine.
Yeah.
I've got one with the worm on it, the plastic worm on the back, or you've got these with the. A lot of guys use them for snook too. Right?
Yeah, well, for snook, but I made this little bait, and that's actually the one I caught the fish on. That's a hoagie worm, and a squid skirt on a 1 ounce DOA jig head.
Oh.
Now you're not going to be it won't fish as deep as this lure right here, but it will get down there deep enough to catch a cobia. Because when you're throwing a jig for cobia, 9 times out of 10 you've already seen one, or you're looking at one.
They're coming up behind the bait.
Yeah, coming up behind the boat.
Did they do that for you on Saturday or
Yeah,
something?
they did it on Saturday. One of them did, and then of course we were throwing. Once we, I hope that boat's tied up good after. But we caught one, and then we threw it at another one, and it never did get him to eat. But both of them were on that right there.
You chum for them too?
Sir,
You chum at all?
Do you chum for?
I didn't chum. No, I'm not big. I should chum more than I do.
If you know they're there and you can chum, you don't have to,
Yeah.
but they will come into the chum line for sure. They'll come right up to the chum back. I mean, literally swim right up to it. But you get more of everything else as well. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad, or vice versa when you're chumming. It's not a bad idea, and they will find chum.
Yeah.
But and if you're using live bait, typically that bait's not going to really be right in the chum line anyways. But if you want to throw a jig at them, you want to sight them, so they'll swim up behind the bait.
I really don't like the Menhaden chum as well as I do the glass minnow chum. I like the glass minnow chum. It doesn't smell like that.
And how are you hooking your bait?
How was I hooking the bait? Through the eyes. What I do is I take that circle hook and I put it through the eyes. I'm sorry. I thought I was crappie fishing for a minute. I hook it through that hard cartilage right in his nose, right there. And what a lot of times, once you get this one through, you got to kind of turn that hook a little bit to get it through the other side. This is a 5/0. I'll go up, if the bait's pretty good size, I'll go up to a 6/0. That's what you do, Tony? I mean.
Yeah, I'm typically I don't go much bigger than a 6 for Cobia.
Yeah.
Depends on the fish, but everybody knows that they changed the size limit now on the cobia. So it's as of July 1st, it's 36 inch at the fork instead of 33 for Atlantic fish, and it's going to be 2 per vessel, 1 per day per harvester per angler, and instead of 6 currently per vessel, it's going to go to 2. So just keep that in mind. But for now, which is the time of year to fish for them, we're still on the new regulations. So
Don't feed them to them sharks. I'd rather not even fish for them than I have to feed them to them sharks. I hate sharks.
I had a report. A friend of mine fished, and they were on the permit out there, and you know, right in that same Donaldson area, you know where all those different structures are, and they're hard to catch. Those permit are hard to catch. They're big fish, and they're hard to turn, and the sharks eventually they do get them. The sharks get to them. So he had a hard time. He doesn't like feeding the sharks either. So once he loses 1 or 2, he's done. So,
Yeah.
but they were there, and he was out the day or 2 after we were out. So it was just the day that the wind was better. It laid down a little bit a few days after we were out.
I will hang a head over the side, just to, look at them when they come up. Look at the sharks when they come up beside the boat.
You'll hang a what over the side?
The head after you split it in half,
Oh.
just hang it over the side, just to look at them.
Does anybody go out permit fishing? No?
What I found with a permit, if they're sharks like I did at Neverglades City, is once you hook them, you loosen up the drag and let them run. Let them get away
You
from
can
that
do
reef.
that.
Let 'em
Drift off. I don't
and then chase-
anchor for them. You
Yeah.
know, you drift through.
Then chase them down, and then I circle them as we bring it in. Then I circle them in an effort to spook the sharks away.
I don't think a lot of people target them here, but they are there, and they're just you hear people fishing on the flats for permit, and they're an awesome game fish on the flat.
About 4 years ago on the pipe barge, we slayed them, man.
You can get out there some days, and
Oh, that big around.
you'll see them swimming around. They'll come right up behind the boat. They're hard to catch because they're usually big. They're usually big ones. So you got to have stout gear, and like Keith says, you got to try to get them in fast and drift away from the sharks if you can.
The live baiting?
Crabs.
Crabs.
Yeah, and the crabs are there's a couple guys in town that are getting crabs, and you can go. They're expensive, so it's definitely a different type of fishing. The fish heads had them like $4.50 a crab, I think. There's a local guy that I've got a number for. He gets them. He gets them about $3 a crab when he can get them. But
I'm gonna tell you, them Cobia will eat them crabs too, buddy.
Cobia
They
love crab.
love-
I caught a snook on crab. I mean,
Sure.
everything will eat them. Real quick, the slots. The permit. If you do go out and fish for them, you're allowed to keep one over 22 inches. It's 11 inch to 22 inches is the slot size fork. 2 per person, and I think they're looking at maybe changing that too. I'm not sure. African Pompano, I see them every once in a while. Anybody ever catch them out here? They're an interesting fish. They're 24 inch at the fork, and 2 per person. It's a year-round season on them. Those actually, the interesting thing about those is, where's it at? Was it the? You can, is it, no, it's Cobia I was thinking of. You can actually spear, gig, and cast net cobia and seine net cobia. Yeah.
I always said outlaw spear gunning. Not that I'm mad at the spear gunners, but
You can spear the African pompano too. I've seen the African pompano right at the tip of the jetty at the inlet.
You can't spear African pompano.
I was just on their thing. I wrote it down.
Can't
Federal
spear 'em?
waters. Federal waters.
Federal waters.
Yeah.
You're not gonna.
But you're not going to be spearing them in the inlet. But I don't spear them anyways. But yeah, if you see them out on the reefs, you're in out in 6 miles, you're in federal waters. So, but they're an interesting fish. I've seen them around there's that hole there at the jetty there on the north side, right by that marker. I've seen them around there, but it's only certain times of the year they show up. And I think it's now, springtime. You ever get
Then-
pompano?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've not caught many here, but in Costa Rica, in El Golfo Bay, there's a bunch of African pompano, a lot of, and we catch them. You know, we catch them 80 feet deep. Boy, that was a job. Hey, lady. And but I wanted to say, and then Sunday, I went back fishing in my little boat, my aluminum boat, and I ran up the South Fork, and I jumped 4 tarpon and landed 2 of them. So, you know, they're starting to show up. And
What?
sir,
On what?
on a root beer terrorize. But I'm gonna tell you what I did. Mark will kill me for this. I took and spray painted the heads black. Yeah, in the shop. I went over to the shop and spray painted the heads black on them things. And I don't know, maybe it was,
Mark's shop?
yeah,
Oh.
I have a key. Unless you change the lock.
Honestly, I think any dark color is good up there. You
Yeah.
know, motor oil. I've caught them on that motor oil color.
Were
The
you
purple.
casting to, sight casting to fish rolling? Or what?
Yes, I don't even blind cast anymore. I wait till they roll, and you got to throw it right in there on them. And I throw it in there. I make a cast, and I've been fishing with my left hand because my right hand has got something wrong with it. But I make a cast in there, and I don't even try to move it much. And then when it hits the bottom, I'll pick it up and start a slow retrieve back. And it's about half and half. Sometimes I hit it on the fall, sometimes I hit it on the slow retrieve back. And I was using a 25-pound leader. That's the reason I didn't get with 2 of them. But they, even in that dingy water up there, they could see that, that 25-pound test leader seemed like it was helping the bite. I don't know. But now, on the Cobia the other day, I was using a 30-pound, a 40-pound fluorocarbon, Suffix fluorocarbon.
You were fishing all the way over to almost up to the lock.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
On Sunday. I actually, and I don't know if let's say I was fishing real close to the barrier.
Two little barrels.
Yeah. Know what I'm saying?
I used to fish there all the time. I live right near there, off of Map Creek, and we used to go out in the canoe out there and fish. And there's a big hole right there where the entrance to the old South Fork,
Mm-hmm.
and that place you get out there low light. You know, there's always tarpon there. We fish that one side there. There's a nice ledge of drop off of about 12 feet, and we just and you asked about. You can wait for him to roll, and we would drift through there, and it would be me and my buddy, and he'd be throwing up against the dead trees or something and trying to get a snook, and I'd be dropping a terrorize down on the ledge, just kind of blind casting for tarpon, and we get them. They're not real big most of the time. If you hook a big one, it's not really. I don't really care for the really big ones because then you're off to the races. You got to chase them down.
Yeah, you got to fight him for now.
But I like the little ones. They're a lot of fun up in there. But if you ever go up in there, there's plenty of water up there, so you can get up there and fish.
Where the feeder creeks come in by the locks up there?
Well, you can right around the locks is a big area, but before you get there, before the river bends, that area there's the old South Fork entrance as it's on the east side as you're going towards the locks. It's on the left, and that area right where that entrance. It's a big wide entrance. You can't miss it.
It's right there in the mouth of the Lost River.
Yeah,
Yeah, right
it's
there.
the old South Fork. The
Yeah,
old
old
winding
South. They call it Lost River. Yeah.
You talk about the Cobia. I got a nice Cobia the other day. I opened him up to see what he had. He was stuffed. And I say stuffed with crabs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stuffed. Little crabs
little tiny ones.
Yeah, he was, and he voiced himself.
Yeah, well, that's what's going on, right? So I talked to the guy, guy that catches and sells crabs, and he was waiting. He said that he'd been waiting. He hadn't gotten a lot of crabs because he had sold out. But when those crabs get on the move at certain tides, and that's when those fish are just
Oh,
eating.
man,
They're
this
eating
thing-
and eating and
he
eating.
was- He couldn't swallow another crab.
Yeah. Well, he swallowed one more, right?
No, he swallowed a turkey.
He
Oh,
swallowed-
did he?
Yeah, he swallowed a
Live
turkey.
bait.
Yeah, little change in his menu.
Yeah, he figured he had enough crabs and wanted
Well, we're
something
gonna.
else.
I want to, real quick. The other, if anybody knows, they changed the rules for mahi too, the limits, the numbers. So it used to be 10 now, or it's going to switch to 5.
That's in effect now, right?
Yeah, I think that's
May second.
It's this
Already
this
in
month.
effect.
And then the vessel was from 60 to 30. I wish they would change the size on it, but it's
You wish they'd changed to 5 what?
the size.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Instead of 20 inches, 20 inches tiny.
yeah.
They grow so fast, but they've been catching some big ones out there. We
Yeah.
caught a couple, right?
Yeah, we caught some, they were that big, I don't know, I didn't weigh them, but they were definitely gaffers.
Yeah. Good.
We had some smaller ones too, but we had several good gaffers. And, we were fishing a dredge. I don't know if you all have ever fished a dredge much, but then about 60 feet of leader behind it on I should have brought one of those lures. Big lead-headed lure, and Kyle drilled them out where they would slide up over the bill of the ballyhoo. We'd break it off, but then they'd slide up over the bill of the ballyhoo. They really run good.
So
but,
you were trolling dead bait.
Yeah, trolling ballyhoo, yeah. But that's where we caught the most of them. We caught some beside the boat. But that was a funny thing. Usually, when you catch one and get him to the boat, there's other fish with him. You know how the Maya will do, run back and forth and swirl around. But there wasn't many fish with those fish that we caught. I don't know. Once we pulled them out of the school, they didn't stick around. The rest of the school didn't stick around like it usually does. I don't know.
Well, I haven't seen more than a couple come in on any one boat.
Yeah.
Most people are getting 2 or 3 or 4, but I haven't seen anybody really getting a bunch.
I haven't raised a school up here in a year and a half.
You hadn't done what?
I
Haven't-
have not raised a school
Yeah.
dolphin in a year and
A
a half.
real school where they're
Up
around
here.
the boat.
Well, 10, 15, 20 fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
behind the boat.
We still
From
see them,
4 to
but
6, or anything bigger than that. Everything has been one here, one there.
it's timing too. We don't see them like you used to see them, where you get out there and say 600 feet or even 300 feet, and you'd see the fish, and then the next day they might still be in that general area. Here they're gone. They come through and they just keep.
These
on
were about
trucking.
200, between 200 and 250.
Yeah.
That's what these were.
Well, we're gonna start doing something with you guys. A lot of you guys are catching fish, and we wanna start more interaction, and so we'd like you guys to send some photos in to us, and Haley's gonna add them to our videos and stuff. So and we'll pick. Sam and I are gonna go through them, and we're making hats for our. This is one of the guys making hats for us. He made an Everglades hat, but he's gonna make us get hooked hats, and best picture we'll give out a hat or 2 each month. If you guys are interested, send in the pics. We'd love to have them.
Yeah.
Especially if we're, if you're catching something that we're talking about, that'd be great.
And it makes a good thing. It makes something good to talk about. Pictures worth 1,000 words. That's about all we got left is pictures.
No picture, no fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna look into setting up a specific email for you guys to send them to.
Yeah.
Like a get hooked at Sundance Marine or something like that. So we'll set that up. We'll let you guys know. If I don't have anybody's email address, or just leave it for me on before you leave. So most of you guys are already on our list. So
Fish of the month. Fish of the month.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Anybody been upriver? Trout fishing, redfish fishing?
A buddy of mine got 2 up by the power plant today.
Inshore, offshore?
Trout inshore
Inshore.
by the
Yeah.
power plant.
Okay. How big were they?
He didn't really say. He got them on DOA cows,
Mm-hmm.
paddle tail.
Is it Lee?
Is it-
The guy that used to own the
No.
tropical fish place?
No, guy Emilio who lives in my condo.
Oh,
Flies in for 4 days to fish.
yeah.
He's been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Not here yet.
Any redfish? Redfish are in existence between here and Fort Pierce. Once you go from Fort Pierce, oh, and I do want to say something. I had a real good friend pass away this week, and he was as good a trout fisherman as there is anywhere. His name was J.D. DeBluca. If anybody knew J.D., he was an old pipe fitter and commercial fisherman and welder, but J.D. passed away. He had kidney problems and he got toxic and he couldn't never come through. But we lost another good trout fisherman this week. He was amazing, and he was never he was never afraid to take somebody fishing. That's what I remember about JD. He was never afraid to take somebody fishing. If somebody walked up to him and said, "God, how'd you catch those fish?" or something, he said, "Well, I can tell you or I'll show you." And he always put in up there at Round Island, and they finally quit giving him tickets. The guy said, the water patrolman said, "You're not supposed to run in here." He said, "I've been running in here ever since I was 50 years. And he said, "Well, I'm going to give you a ticket." He said, "Okay." He said, "If you see me tomorrow, you can give me a no." He was a good guy, man. J.D. DeBluca. We'll miss him. We'll miss him. He was a good guy for conservation. So, J.D., we appreciate you, buddy. One other thing is I want to say that if you come back in and you've got dead bait, don't feed the pelicans. Please don't. These pelicans are turned into a bunch of
Sharks. Bunch of sharks.
well, they're turned into a bunch of, bums. I mean, they want you. All they want you to do is give them bait. Don't throw them in the trash can here by any means, because you get run off of that. Or
Well,
threatened.
if you do, the raccoons get them. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But throw them away out. Clean the live well out, because I hate it. I see people at Sandspit Park, cleaning fish and throwing away their bait and giving it to all them pelicans and just making bums out of them, beggars out of them. Pelicans is not. They have a lot of problems. You see them shaking like that, they have a disease called coccidiosis, and I mean not coccidiosis, but palsy. You see them shaking like that, and they have palsy. Coccidiosis, that's a chicken disease, isn't it? What are you laughing about? Long time ago. Well, we ain't gonna talk about
You
long
guys,
time ago.
anybody have any questions from the? No, nobody.
You got any boats for sale? What kind of boats you got for sale?
Yeah, I got some boats for sale. We've got some used boats. We got some
You
new
got
boats.
some used. Well, did you sell that Ranger out there?
No, it's still
Not yet. I had a guy that was going to buy it, and then he was an out-of-state guy, and he found something closer to him. So, but we just had it detailed. That's a great little boat.
Hey, it looks great, man.
Yeah, so we got that. That's a used boat, 2015 2510.
Yeah.
We got a used 33 Everglades, a used 35 Everglades.
I love that.
2018 was on the 35, 2019 on the 33.
That Ranger's got a lot of hours on the motor, but
No, 340, I think.
oh really?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah, 350, I think. Something.
Okay.
Not too much.
Man, if somebody's looking for a boat to do both on a good day, I can't complain about mine. I threaten to buy a bigger boat every day, but then I go to the CFO and She said no. So
You have that problem.
she said, "You're 73 years old." I said, "So? What's that
Afford
mean?"
the vote, but not the divorce, huh?
Yeah, I can't afford to more. You know what she said to me the other day? This is so funny. She said, "Italians don't get divorces. We don't call lawyers. We call our family." And I mean, she wasn't grinning when she said it either, man. She's a full-blooded Italian from where's that place?
She from,
Huh?
she from Sicily?
Sicily. Her parents were. She wasn't. She was adopted by her parents. I shouldn't have said that. She'd be mad about that. She's not
It's
listening.
still family.
But they're serious. Her brother's a contractor in North Chicago, so I don't want to wind up some foundation somewhere.
Anybody getting out this week to go fish after this wind lays down? Anybody gonna go?
I'd have gone out if it hadn't got to
Oh,
7 foot today.
it was this morning. It was not half like this afternoon, man. Ooh.
Did you go today?
No, I said I would have gone today.
Oh yeah.
Friday's supposed to be.
I got out
Yeah.
last Thursday.
Yeah, I think the weekend is supposed to get good.
How deep of water did you catch your dolphin in?
60.
60 feet.
60 feet?
You guys are killing me up here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't caught a dolphin outside of 150 feet of water in a year and a half of fishing up here.
Really?
You know, to where down south,
Yeah,
You
well,
could
you
be in
gotta go.
500,
You gotta go. You know.
300. I mean, it varied.
Yeah, but
but
down south, you're
Not a
300
touch.
sheets a mile long.
I'm
60
wasting fuel
60
after
feet of water is
150
5
feet.
miles out here. 5 miles
Oh,
down
God, yeah.
there, you're in 800
I
feet.
know
1,000
that, but I'm
feet.
just surprised that they don't change and go out with the deeper water when they hit the shelf.
You know,
They're
I've
coming
often
right up on the shelf and wandering
Well, they're
right
feeding.
through.
That's where the bait is. They're feeding.
I've often wondered if the what do you call them? Current
Gulf Stream.
Gulf Stream, when it hits that shallow bank, if it doesn't turn out, you know what I mean? It turns out. Of course, you run to Jupiter, and it's a lot deeper on the same latitude line. Is
You don't have a good break.
mm-mm.
As soon as you had that dark purple water,
Yeah.
you knew you'd hit the stream.
Mhm.
And here it's just a gradual change to
Well,
a
it's
better
definitely different. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons the fishing is good here too. Is the Gulf Stream, because of that continental shelf turns.
That's what I was looking for, continental shelf.
And the stream turns with it. It creates eddies, right? So these fish are swimming in these upwellings.
Yeah, it breaks
and
up all of your weed. You don't get weed lines up here.
you got to go pretty
They're
far
a half
out.
mile wide and it's soup.
Yeah.
And you've got to find either the inside edge or pull up and get to the outside edge.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed this year is like every half mile there's another temperature break.
Mhm.
Previous years there'd be like one big one, one big wide one, and you just stop there and that's all you had to do.
That's
Here it's
right.
like instead you go another half mile, another one, you just gotta
Trade currents.
Temperatures are
It's like-
different.
It's not a one big one like it used to be.
It's not a big change. It's
Yeah.
just small
One
changes.
degree.
Does anybody here ever use the old low ran numbers? Yeah,
But down south,
yeah,
that was Deerfield.
yeah.
You're aging yourself. So.
The what?
Showing your age.
Well, I'm
Still
proud
got
of
an
it.
8-track in his car.
Do what?
You still have an 8-track in your car.
I had one. You want to buy some 8-tracks?
All right. On that note, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up with the online here. So we're just gonna review next month. I'm not sure if we really know what we're gonna talk about, but we're working on some new stuff. Some new subjects.
Mm-hmm.
We may do some stuff where we go through safety gear and stuff like that. I'd like to do something like that. So stay with us. We're gonna keep you guys interested and definitely send in some pictures if you got them. I will. You can use my email address for now. But we will set up an email address for that specifically. But we're gonna have some hats, and we'll be handing them out. If you can't make it in, and your picture gets picked, and we'll send it to you. So please do that, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yeah,
Or
and we're
next
gonna-
month, rather.
Like Tony said, I want to do some different stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there: mutton snapper, red snapper. You know,
We're gonna try to fish this month. See if we can't get back out and do, because the muttons on the next full moon. We'll see if we can't get out there.
right? That sounds
We'll
good to
talk
me.
about them.
If you'll give me one to take home, you usually hog the fish pretty good.
I don't give up my muttons.
You guys fish mutton snapper at night? You fish night time?
Not new. We don't normally go at night. No. So, is there anything else from Sundance that we need to say? Stay with us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next
Hey
month.
Lee, thanks for going fishing with us last